Can iDubbbz make a comeback and return to a state of popularity? I think most people would answer this question by saying no. It's without a doubt that iDubbbz's career is one of the lowest states it's ever been since he started YouTube. His main channel struggles to pull in 300k views and his streams average under 100k viewers. Even his other channels barely get 10k views sometimes. It is inevitable that every content creator will hit a peak and slowly fizzle out of fame. Even PewDiePie hasn't grown in a sub count in over a year. Many YouTubers that were well known and respected in their community have quote unquote fallen off. But the story of iDubbbz is a bit more complex than just an audience growing up or simply slowly falling out of fame. The difference with Ian is that he manufactured his decline. He intentionally killed a huge portion of his audience. I'd also argue that his former audience also pushed him in a direction more than anyone else has to do this. But I'd also say that Ian has also pushed away a portion of his audience unintentionally. And in order to explain that, I have to go into detail over his whole entire channel.
What we do here is go back.
Ian's glory days on YouTube is an area of the internet that I highly doubt we will ever revisit again. YouTube's guidelines have changed so much that that type of content that iDubbbz was making will never be able to survive in the algorithm or be monetizable.
You know, I would love, people saying, oh, Leafy come back. I would love to see Leafy come back and try to exist in the landscape today. Like, the content that he was making would never fly on YouTube today. And you have to adapt and overcome the fact that, like, you can't even curse, bro. Like, I don't know.
Not only that, but the general audience's opinion of what okay and what's not okay has changed for the most part. This is why I don't personally see a return of this type of content. When this era ended, it was around maybe 2018-ish. Definitely 2019 though, yeah. And 2019 is when we hit a point where we noticed iDubbbz's career slowly start to fizzle out a little bit. His videos were only getting a few million. LMAO, I know, only a few million. It's still really good.
Hey, that's pretty good.
But it's a noticeable decline. His content was changing as well. Most edgier creators at the time began to
adapt
to the YouTube ecosystem changing. For example, H3 started focusing on his podcast and gearing his content towards a different type of audience. Max Mofo and Anything for Views started cold ones. George Miller or Joji just quit YouTube entirely and started becoming a music artist. Very successful, by the way. Even iDubbbz was like, I gotta switch things up. So what he ended up doing is he made a documentary series on Airsoft Fatty, and it became one of the biggest videos on his channels actually. The tone of this content was slightly less edgier than previous stuff, but it also had that silly goofy vibe still to it. Reese's Puffs. Ian then found himself in controversy around the beginning of 2020. I think most people know the story, but I'll give you a brief summary of it. His girlfriend at the time, Anisa Jomha, started an OnlyFans account and had a huge portion of his audience criticizing him heavily for it. Personally, I believe that as long as two people in a relationship are okay with something and it's safe and it doesn't hurt anybody else, then it's fine. None of my business. A huge amount of his audience was way too parasocial in my opinion and wanted his relationship standards to live how they wanted their relationship standards to be. Ian's response video to this addressed many points and things that were criticizing him, and honestly I don't think it was a really good response, to be honest, but I believe it intentionally wasn't the best. iDubbbz intentionally made that video to piss people off and get rid of people in his audience. He could have easily calmed down his audience, but instead purposely wanted to cut them off. This is a point where I feel iDubbbz's own fan base started pushing him in a direction that they didn't like. This was the first instance that caused Ian to think that his audience was cringe or whatever. I guess cringe is the right word. Cringe, L ratio, I don't know.
Reverse Uno.
Your mom owns you, little bro.
L-Riz. L-Riz?
After purging a decent portion of his audience, Ian's career was still pretty thriving, though noticeably the views had got down, still getting millions and millions and millions of views per video though.
Hey, that's mildly adequate.
His documentary on Dak Flame was also really well and positively received. Although not performing as well as his previous documentary, it showed that Ian has a lot of talent in the stuff he makes and people clearly care and are interested in it. The tone of this documentary was more serious than the previous one, but still pretty goofy, still pretty silly. It had those funny haha moments. Another noticeable video that came out around the time was a video on Logan Paul. This video shows another classic L by Mr. Prime Man, aka Logan Paul himself. but I also think it shows where iDubbbz was at in his career at this point. He was still willing and down to fully engage in drama and call people out. Without a doubt, Ian had moved on from the content cop era. He viewed his previous work as probably cringe, and I think to a certain point it's natural for content creators to look back at their old content and being like, hey yo, this sucks, what the heck, I could be better now. But for sure, this definitely demonstrates that he was very willing to still criticize people that he felt needed criticism, which is interesting because it appears like his viewpoints on this have changed only after a few years. I'll come back to this point later on.
I like iDubbbz. I think he's funny, and I wanted to...
Sam Hyde. Most people who are familiar with iDubbbz's journey are familiar with that name. Sam Hyde's part in iDubbbz's story, I feel, is crucial to how Ian's career is today. A huge chunk of fans that iDubbbz tried to get rid of ended up becoming supporters of Sam Hyde. Sam Hyde became a spokesperson for all of the fallen fans of Ian. The third installment in Ian's documentary series stars Sam Hyde. iDubbbz have flown out to film footage for the doc. iDubbbz's doc focused on him claiming to want to capture the real Sam Hyde and who he really is outside of his comedic persona. Instead, Sam Hyde basically trolled iDubbbz the whole time. iDubbbz never really got that true, genuine Sam Hyde personality that he was looking for, because Sam Hyde was just playing a comedic persona the whole time. Many speculate that Ian also had an alternative motive behind this documentary. It's speculated iDubbbz intentionally tried to make a hit piece on Sam Hyde and turn him into some kind of lol cow. iDubbbz denies doing this and claims that the doc was meant to be neutral.
The video is not meant to be a hit piece. I didn't set out to do that.
You see, when Ian initially recorded the documentary, it took him months before that video was made public. A whole long-ass period of time had gone by, and there was no sign of the Sam Hyde documentary on Ian's channel. Sam Hyde assumed the video had been scrapped and released his own footage from the time Ian was over there. Shortly after this, iDubbbz released his documentary. Whether or not Ian was going to release the documentary before Sam Hyde dropped this footage is up for debate. On Twitter, Ian claims that he was originally going to drop the documentary, but Sam Hyde's video encouraged him to release it faster than he would have. Critics claimed that the video never would have gotten uploaded if Sam never uploaded his footage. And honestly, it's all pretty much up for debate. We really don't know the truth. We have no idea. Honestly, for a while, I didn't really believe that iDubbbz had any plans to upload it. But seeing that he said he was going to make a Creator Clash documentary, and that has not come out, and that iDubbbz might just have a really bad schedule when it comes to releasing docs, because even like the Dax Flame and the Airsoft Fatty documentary took forever for him to upload, like literally way too long. So I kind of think there might be some genuine like iDubbbz is just lazy and procrastinates type beat to it. It could also just be he didn't like the way the direction the documentary went. We really don't have an idea. Either way, this incident was detrimental to iDubbbz's career. A lot of, again, his former fan base that doesn't like him anymore shifted their attention over from iDubbbz to Sam Hyde, and they started using Sam Hyde as a symbol or persona to miss the old iDubbbz. Like Airsoft Fatty and Dax Flame, Sam Hyde's presence in iDubbbz's career would continue after the release of his documentary, although this time without Ian encouraging it or liking it. The first Creator Clash was an interesting time in iDubbbz's career. Initially starting with the idea of boxing rice gum, Creator Clash evolved into a charity boxing match. Influencers like the Odd Ones Out, Super Mega, Dr. Mike's, Alex Ernst, and many more were getting involved with the Creator Clash. Meanwhile, Sam Hyde was also trying to get involved and get on the card. Anisa and iDubbbz did not allow this. Instead, they straight up banned Sam Hyde from the event. This was out of fear that the event was going to be ruined by Sam Hyde, according to iDubbbz and Anisa. iDubbbz and Anisa also claimed that the people on the card would not want to work with Sam Hyde. Although noticeably, when Ian and Anisa said this was made on an assumption and not something that they had directly said or stated with the other fighters. Dr. Mike, who was fighting iDubbbz in that original first Creator Clash, is on record saying that he pretty much knew nothing about the Sam Hyde situation and gave some sympathy for Sam without knowing the context. Many people interpreted this as Ian and Anisa directly lying about the whole situation with Sam Hyde. Although, in iDubbbz and Anisa's offense, they never stated that they directly questioned their fighters about whether or not they wanted to work with Sam Hyde or allow Sam Hyde at the event. They pretty much made an assumption on it, rather than said, yeah, we definitely talked to them. They just said they would, or if, words like that. Overall, The first creator class was a huge success. The VOD got around 3 million views on YouTube, and the pay-per-view numbers were pretty good, and it was being talked about by a lot of noticeable creators. Ian was starting to harvest a community that he wanted. However, the creator clash arc came at a price. Ian's channel for the most part was inactive during this time period.
So just be patient on that. A documentary will be available eventually.
The way Ian wanted to conduct himself was changing and had changed. The content still hadn't found a formula or a general direction to go with, and Sam Hyde's involvement in iDubbbz's career would only grow and grow after this point. Leading up to Creator Clash 2, uploads on the iDubbbz channel became more and more irregular. Ian was devoting all of his time towards boxing, and drama had started involving a boxer on the card known as Froggy Fresh. Froggy Fresh was kicked out of the event for posting Twitter videos with Sam Hyde. At this point in time, Sam Hyde was commenting on Ian's wife, Anisa, regularly on stream.
I don't think so, Anissa. Bitch. Ho. Fucking Anissa. What an ugly piece of shit. But look how beat she is. Oh, nice jack-o'-lantern teeth.
That's like
I can't wait to see what she looks like when she's 32. Her teeth look like a pumpkin head. Like it's the Anisa Jomha hole stretcher. I'm sending this to Anissa's OnlyFans. It goes directly into charity.
Yeah.
Everybody hates him and his wife's a slut.
Understandably, iDubbbz would take offense to all the things Sam was saying. Reality is, no one would want their wife being talked about or degraded in that kind of way. Ian's stance on Sam Hyde had also changed. In Creator Clash 1, he was cool with people making content and training with Sam. Now, Ian was no longer able to tolerate that kind of behavior, or I guess action. So, he kicked out Froggy Fresh from the event. It was definitely strange for former fans and old fans to see Ian act this way. Before, he seemed like nothing would ever bother him. Now, seeing him kick out people from his own event was a very drastic change in how he was viewed and things that he would do. I think it's understandable for Ian to be mad at Froggy Fresh. I mean, reality is Froggy Fresh intentionally did that just to directly piss off Ian, and personally, I wouldn't have kicked him out of the card. I don't think Ian should have kicked him out of the card, but I understand the reasoning behind it. Hey yo, for real though, my boy Chris Raygun did not deserve to get owned like that, bro. What the hell? What the hell? Again, Ian had platformed somebody that his former fans could rally behind. Like Sam, many former fans of Ian started supporting Froggy Fresh. iDubbbz's channel had just evolved into drama, and the people who were tuning in were mainly against him at this point. Newer audiences really didn't care for iDubbbz drama, and the old audience ridiculed him for it. Ian's video going over the Froggy Fresh drama was received poorly for the most part. It seemed like a portion of the internet had decided no matter what that Ian was going to lose any argument before that video was even made public. The following drama video was Ian's final statement on his older content. Interestingly, many points he had from even the first Creator Clash were different. At Creator Clash 1, he viewed Content Cop as a history of the channel and something he would never make now. He even used the intro as a walkout for it, meaning that he had some kind of acknowledgement that it's historic and part of the history of himself.
First comedy video series such as Kickstarter Crack, Content Cop.
Now, he even viewed Content Cop as something he did as wrong. This is where I feel like Ian excluded his former fans way too much. If fans would not have responded so badly and negatively towards the OnlyFans situations or the situation with Sam Hyde, Ian wouldn't have been pushed into believing the content he made was wrong. I mean, yeah, you could say a portion of Content Cop hasn't aged the best, and some of it, you know, there's some...
It's not okay to go to an 18-year-old's fan meetup with a bunch of kids and say the N-word in front of everyone.
You know, I get him not wanting to do edgy humor anymore. That's totally fine and valid. But the idea of criticizing someone or even criticizing someone harshly is something that should not be viewed as wrong. It is okay to make content that is critical of others. The way the internet harshly threw insults at iDubbbz and his wife made him believe that the type of criticism he was giving had that same and similar effect. The main reason people loved Content Cop is because of the way Ian was able to criticize somebody who deserved genuine criticism. Sam Hyde and other statements have not been as constructed or as genuine criticism, you know what I'm saying? This caused him to have a new look on Content Cop. Ian's own former audience is to blame for him turning to the thing they hate the most. If they would have just allowed Ian to grow in peace, he probably would have just viewed Content Cop as just cringy or like just something he did in the past and something that he's moved on from doing. But now he outright hates it, and he hates it because he associates it with the kind of fan base that was pretty harshly going after him, you know what I'm saying?
I think all of this made him want to just purge all of his audience, but let's be real, the reality is the majority of viewers, they were just casual people who were just there casually and they didn't really care too much, they weren't chronically online. That's not to say that the iDubbbz fanbase didn't have actual really bad people in it. The odds of finding an unironic, bigoted person in the 2016 iDubbbz fanbase was probably much higher than finding somebody who's unironically bigoted in like the Ember Chamberlain fanbase. Or honestly, let's be honest, most content creators who didn't make edgy content at the time, LMAO. But also, in no way did unironic bigots make up that huge of a portion of his audience. Ian also spends a huge portion of his video criticizing his past edgy humor, and he labels it as wrong, and apologized to groups he feel he's hurt. I feel he was being a bit overcritical and harsh on himself throughout most of that video. Some content creators speculate that the statements iDubbbz made weren't genuine and they were made for reasons like fear of being demonetized or something. I think that's stupid, and it's pretty clear that he was being genuine because he loses more from being honest about how he feels about these things, to be honest. Either way, I really don't care, to be honest. Ian's opinion on this stuff, I do not care. He's just some silly guy I watch because he makes silly content, and I like seeing him do silly little things and rant about silly little things. Although, interestingly, Ian randomly throws a little bit of shade at Dr. Disrespect in an upload after this video. I found his criticism towards Dr. Disrespect pretty fair and based, to be honest. I think iDubbbz's main point against Content Cop is that he now believes making a spectacle out of criticizing someone is cruel.
Never you mind that I was already banned from my racist, homophobic, hate speech rants.
Modern iDubbbz videos don't perform the best view-wise. Although for someone who's 10 years into the career, it's honestly somewhat expected. Still though, the future of Ian's future career is somewhat questionable. The videos he's currently making are not awful, they're just not very eventful. Ian's documentaries and other high-effort videos seem to always perform better. Content Cop would always gather the YouTube community together like it was a major and special event. Creator Clash has achieved some of this, but Creator Clash 2 failed economically. Ian has proven that he is capable of making very entertaining and good content. If he goes on to make videos that are high effort and stay out of conflict, he may be able to capture a new audience. iDubbbz will never, nor does he want to get his old audience back. But getting a new audience is possible if he truly finds a way to be creative again and focus on something new. Although for Ian, he may just want a smaller community, as he regularly streams on Twitch now and seems to enjoy having a smaller community than the one he had before. I feel like my take on this situation is more nuanced than most. I don't dislike Ian, but I also don't feel like he's immune to criticism. The story of iDubbbz encapsulates the internet and it's changed throughout the years. At the end of the day, I just view this as internet drama, to be honest, guys. There are way too many creators that are on the YouTube platform that are way by far worse than iDubbbz. iDubbbz is just somebody who makes silly videos online and has a complicated relationship with his viewers or former viewers that ultimately is very unserious, guys. Although I do clearly find this whole situation interesting, especially when analyzing it from a parasocial kind of behavior way, but I can only say that iDubbbz, like basically everybody, deserves happiness. Views aren't a metric of that and don't really resemble how he's currently doing in life. So I guess what really matters in the end is if Ian is happy with where he's at. And honestly, I hope he is.